Welcome to episode 35 of Excuse Me, I'm Speaking. This podcast is being brought to you by yours truly, your one and only host. Y'all can call me Twinkle, call me SheIsTwinkle, or call me Antoinette. As long as you're calling my name, that's all that matters to me. If you're watching this, as you can see, I am wearing and repping my Kansas City Chiefs gear. The Kansas City Chiefs have dominated and won the Super Bowl once again. So, round of applause for the Chiefs and all of my fellow Chiefs fans out there. It was an amazing moment, and I'm so excited. We're going to have a Super Bowl parade this week, and I am actually going to show up to it this time. So, I will definitely come back and tell you guys all about it. So, shout out to the Kansas City Chiefs. But of course, when you're winning, there's always going to be haters out there, which somehow, although we did not play the best season and our offense needed a lot of work throughout the season, our defense was amazing. We were definitely the underdogs going into this Super Bowl, even into the playoffs. But somehow, right before the Super Bowl, we became the villains. Like, people just didn't want us to win. Of course, that's similar to the Patriots when the Patriots were winning all the time. I didn't like the Patriots then. I definitely didn't like Tom Brady, especially when we went against them and we didn't win. So I understand it, but goodness, let us live. Once again, there will always be haters. So people are going to try to pick out the bad things that happened during the game. And one of them that was unfortunately shown on camera was when Travis Kelce got really mad at Coach Reid, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. And he was literally yelling in his face and he bumped into him. And you could see other guys were pulling him off of him. That was not a good look. They say that's not a good look, especially for kids out there. That's not very sportsmanship like behavior. However, none of us have played in a Super Bowl before, so we don't know what it's like. Apparently, Travis Kelce was upset because he had just been taken out of the game the play before that play. Something went wrong on that play, and Kelce was yelling at Reid because he's like, that wouldn't have happened if I would have been in there. You should have put me in there. Coach Reid was asked about it after the game, and he actually laughed about it. And he said Kelce keeps him young. He was just upset in the moment because he wanted to win that bad. But the cameras didn't show when he came up to him shortly after, gave him a hug, and apologized just because it was the heat of the moment and he shouldn't have reacted in that way. So people are acting like he punched him in the face. No, he did not. Have you never seen a competitive sport? Have you never seen the coaches yell and go completely off on the players? Now, the player has done it to the coach, but it's all love. They were family. This is football. There's a lot of testosterone. This is the game that counts more than anything. And I think that people were really blowing that out of proportion, especially if they don't have an issue and nobody was actually hurt. So, moving right along from that, because that's what the haters want to focus on. A lot of people even took it a step further and they were calling for Taylor Swift to break up with him, saying that he has anger issues. I feel like that's a reach. He's a football player. Calm down. But whatever. Speaking of Taylor Swift, she actually did make it to the game, which she's made it to a lot of his games, in every playoff game. And it is being said that she took a 17-hour flight from Japan the night before just to make sure that she made it to Las Vegas to be at his Super Bowl game. So I know that we've all had our feelings about Taylor Swift, especially on this podcast, especially because the NFL shows her so many times. But at this point, I feel like I've watched the love story unfold. I don't have anything bad to say about Taylor Swift. They legit seem like they really like each other. I could even take it a step further to say you can see some real love there. But speaking of love, there are two reasons why people watch the Super Bowl. Reason number one is to actually watch the football game. But on those rare occasions where you're not interested or the game completely sucks because it's not competitive at all, a lot of people tune into the Super Bowl for the halftime performance show. And so many of us were excited because Usher Raymond himself was going to be on stage. Now, realistically speaking, Usher did a commendable job. It was decent. I didn't love it. I liked it, but I didn't love it. There's a lot of mixed reviews. Some people liked it, and some people were like, yeah. I could take it or leave it. And I think I'm one of those people. When I think of the Super Bowl halftime performance show, I'm looking for wow moments. I'm looking to want to be like singing and dancing with them, getting out of my seat, moving and grooving. And I just didn't have that moment in this Usher performance. I don't know if it was just me or my anxiety from the football game, because going into halftime, the score was 10-3. So I was already tense. Now, Usher, being an R&B singer, would be the perfect person to calm somebody's nerves and to kind of get you in a feel good mood. He did not get me there. Is it just me? But I just felt like he kind of dropped the ball with this one. There weren't any wow moments. When I think of the Super Bowl, I can think of Prince's performance when he was singing Purple Rain and it started raining. I can think of Beyonce's Super Bowl performance, both of them. The one where Bruno Mars was on there and Beyonce, and they're going back and forth. I can think of Dr. Dre's performance when he had 50 Cent and Snoop Dogg and Mary J. Blige and Eminem. And I can think of a million different performances, but with Usher's performance, there wasn't a wow moment. Rihanna was pregnant last year and she came from the sky, pregnant. Usher, he just had a lot going on. I didn't know what to look at. There was like a marching band, but then there was acrobatics. There were roller skates. Now, I did like the roller skates. That was impressive. I did like her when she came out and played the guitar. But then we have special guest performances by Alicia Keys, which she started off singing If I Ain't Got You. Now, that first note that came out, it was a little shaky, but she pulled it together. But I was very confused as to why she would be singing that song, because Usher is nowhere on that song. He's not in a remix or anything. So then finally they start singing My Boo, because that's their song that they have together. Okay, that didn't really get me out of my seat. Her dress was beautiful and it was red and the piano was red. So I understand the look, the aesthetic. But Alicia Keys isn't one of those wow moments. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he got Alicia Keys. Like, I just was like, okay, get Beyonce. Don't you have a song with her? Whatever. But I am a member of the Beehive, so I could be biased. Moving right along to Jermaine Dupri, who I was very confused by his fashion choices. He looked like a mix between a pilgrim or a Quaker or a giant toddler with shorts that were too big, but like he was trying to be dressy but casual. And then his socks were like the little girls' church socks that they wear to church on Sundays with the little frills around them. I was so confused. JD, why did you show up on stage to the Super Bowl looking like this? I am mind blown. And he showed up because he did the intro to Confessions, which we all love that song, Confessions. Whenever you hear the beat, okay, you do have to sing along. But he didn't even sing it long enough. So I felt some type of way about that. Then we have Little John and Ludacris, who comes out on Yeah, which they ended the performance with Yeah. And it just didn't have that power packed effect that I wanted it to have. Now, the fact that he had Ludacris and Little John there, I was like, oh, perfect. He might do Lovers and Friends. I love Lovers and Friends. Who doesn't love Lovers and Friends? It's February. It's the month of love. He should do Lovers and Friends. And guess what he didn't do? Lovers and Friends. But whatever, I'm not the manager. I didn't create the set list. He did, You Got It Bad. He did a lot of his, I guess, throwbacks that a lot of people would want to hear. So I'm not going to hate. Shout out to Usher. I don't know who we want for next year, but give us a wow performance, please, and thank you. Now, moving on from the Super Bowl, that wasn't the only major thing that's happened lately in the media. Another big media moment that has went down was Monique on Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharpe. She had a podcast interview on there, and when I tell you I was excited, I was here for it. If y'all don't remember, earlier this year, I did a podcast episode and I talked about Katt Williams on Club Shay Shay. And in that podcast, I specifically said he needs to get Monique on his podcast because Monique will give us all the tea that we want and need, and we didn't even know we needed. I specifically said I thought it would be a great idea if he got Monique and Katt Williams on there together. Now, he couldn't make that happen, but he did bring Monique on there. And let me just say this. There is a percentage of the population, and I may be included in this percentage, that we wanted her to spill the tea. We wanted to hear the real deal. We wanted her to give us some details that the public is not aware of, just like Katt Williams did. However, Monique was very mature. In her interview, she was saying a lot of things that she said throughout the years, especially regarding her problem that she has with Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Lee Daniels at the time. They're good now. But this interview in particular, I believe she was able to dig a little bit deeper and we got a better understanding of where she's coming from. And I think I understood her better this time around somehow than in her previous interviews. A lot of people have tried to paint Monique as if she's a complainer and she's a hater, and you need to go out there and get it on your own and do the work and stop complaining and thinking people owe you something. But from Monique's point of view, there's a group of people in Hollywood, being Oprah, Lee Daniels, Tyler Perry, that literally lied on her. That lie costed her money. That costed her family money. That is what she has an issue over. D.L. Hughley as well. That is what she has an issue over. Their actions negatively affected her reputation in Hollywood. She lost out on a lot of deals. Directors were being told that she wasn't easy to work with, which wasn't true at all. All she was asking is for them to be fair and to tell the truth. On this podcast, I've also mentioned the fact that Taraji P. Henson is now speaking up about unfair pay in Hollywood, but Monique was saying the same thing years ago. So why was Taraji's message received, but Monique's message wasn't? And so Monique addressed that on the interview as well. She basically said that people would rather see a Black woman appearing to be broken and in tears and crying out for help, as opposed to Monique when she was speaking on the same thing, but she was speaking confidently and she was speaking with authority. She was speaking with power in her voice, and she was saying, this is wrong. This is not how you're going to treat me, and this is what I deserve. She said people can't really handle that strong Black woman attitude, mentality. They can handle a broken Black woman. Oh, let me listen to her. Let's see, like maybe there's something to it. But a woman, especially of her size, that is speaking confidently and is putting her foot down, Hollywood can't handle that. That's not received well. So a lot of people were saying, hey, it's not the message, it's the messenger. And I do agree with that. And it was the way that she was giving the message. It wasn't a, oh, feel sorry for me. It was, oh, take accountability. And if you want me to do X, Y, and Z, then you need to pay me for my services. Somehow, that got lost in translation because of the person that it was coming from and the way that she was presenting it. So I did definitely agree with that. And it wasn't a knock to Taraji P. Henson or anything like that. She definitely wasn't saying anything bad about her, but she was pointing out the difference between the two, which I totally agree with. Something else that I really loved in Monique's interview was she was talking about her relationship between her and her son and how they basically had a falling out, and how she has taken accountability for her actions and she has apologized. I have to read a quote from her because I thought it was so good, and it can be helpful to so many people out there, especially those that are developing healthy relationships. So her quote is, I want to apologize to you. Now it's up to you whether or not you accept it. But once I give it to you, I've done my part. And don't apologize like a punk. I'm just sorry for everything. No, break it down. Let's go bit by bit. So that way we know you understand the offense that you've done. And I live and die on that sword all day long. This starts when you're a kid. When you're a little kid and you're made to say sorry for pushing somebody or tripping them or accidentally bumping into them, you're like, sorry. But if you don't correct that as a little kid, that is going to continue throughout their teenage years, adult years, whether it's in their intimate relationships, social relationships, working relationships. It is going to continue because they've never been taught how to properly say sorry. For example, with my kids, Even if you bumped into your sister and I say, you need to tell her sorry. Okay. When they say, oh, sorry, I said, no, you need to tell her sorry for exactly what you did. That way they know exactly what they did so that they don't repeat the same mistake over and over again. If you're not sorry, don't say sorry. Don't waste my time or your time. But if you say, I am sorry for pushing you. I was running. I wasn't paying attention. It was a mistake, but I see that you're hurt and I didn't mean to do that. I am so sorry. That can be accepted. That gives some clarity. That gives some understanding. And that's acknowledging that although you didn't mean to hurt the other person, you did hurt the other person. You're taking accountability for your actions. That means something. If that behavior is practiced as a child, it will be normal. And then the older we get, when you do offend someone or hurt them, whether it's intentionally or not, you've been in the practice of apologizing and taking accountability. So you know how to do it the right way. And it's not an issue. And you can literally dust it off and move on. And so I thought that that was great that she brought that up. Her interview was not just based on her issues with people in Hollywood. Her interview was very interpersonal as well. And you understood her family dynamic, the way she grew up, the way that she has dealt with Hollywood. Her interview, in my opinion, was also based around teaching people how to treat you and what you will allow and not allow in your personal life and your working life. In regards to her working life, something that stood out to me was that she said that she never auditioned for her show, The Parkers. The Parkers is a spinoff of Moesha. I absolutely love Moesha, but I love The Parkers as well with Monique and Countess Bond. Yes, Nikki and Kim, and they were a hilarious mother-daughter duo, and we had all the supporting characters and Professor Ogilvy, and it was a great show. She was called to come in and play the role of Kim Parker's mother for Moesha on a few episodes of Moesha, and they wanted the spinoff of the Parkers. Well, since they handpicked her, in her eyes, there was no reason for her to come in and audition. So she said that stood out to her when she heard Taraji in her interview. Taraji said it was such an honor to be handpicked for the role of Suge Avery for the new remake of The Color Purple. And so when she got to the audition, blah, 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 blah. Monique said that was a red flag right there. Taraji said that she was handpicked, but then she proceeded to go and audition for the role. She said that is the exact reason why Taraji and the rest of the cast were probably treated the way that they were, being that they were all in one trailer to begin with. They didn't have individual trailers. They had to drive themselves to set to come and record for the movie. They didn't have all of the proper food services. She said that is a direct reflection of you teach people how to treat you. The moment you showed up, although you were handpicked and you still auditioned, that let them know that, oh, okay, so she's letting us get away with this. Okay, well, then we can probably get away with this and get away with this. But if you showed up like, okay, well, you called me, I'm not auditioning for anything, y'all are going to respect the top tier level actress that I am, then they would treat you accordingly. And I totally understand that. I think that that 100% relates to the working world as well, too. I've had to learn that throughout the years personally. When you show up to a job and you're just like, I'm just nice, Miss Goody Two Shoes, and okay, I noticed that you said this. Okay, I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let it slide. I'm gonna let it slide. And then one day when you don't let it slide, then they look at you crazy like, oh, well, why do you have something to say? Why do you have a problem with this? Well, I had a problem with this on day one, but I was just trying to play nice. But I taught you how to treat me. So you thought that was normal. So now that I'm speaking up and saying something, now I'm a problem. We're really, in the case of the working world, how you start is really how you finish. You do teach people how to treat you. So I thought that that was a great nugget that she put out there as well, too. The very last thing that stood out to me personally, Shannon Sharpe asked her if she always knew she wanted to be a comedian or an actress. And in return, she asked him if he always knew he wanted to be, a famous football player. And both of them had the same answer, which kind of sent chills through my body. Both of them said that since they were a child, they both knew, they had this feeling deep down inside like they were supposed to be something. They were going to be famous. Something about them was special. They knew that they were supposed to do something different with their life. And I've said it on here before, and I've said it so many times in life. I feel like I've had that exact same feeling. So yeah, I know I'm not tripping. When you just get this gut feeling when you're a child, you just have to keep going no matter what. And they said that that feeling was that same determination that pushed them to keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And it's okay to dream. It's okay to dream big. But if you were given that vision, that feeling as a child, hold on to it. Don't let the stresses and woes of adulthood and life and the economy and society get to you and get you down and bring you to settling, because as far as we know, we only have one life to live. And let that be your driving force and your determination to keep pressing towards that goal that you were given and that vision that you were given at such a very young, tender, delicate, and innocent age. So I thought that was awesome. Now, enough of that. Of course, we got to mix it up on this podcast. I done dealt with the positive, and now we got to get into some nitty gritty. Y'all know that I love watching my streaming shows, and Griselda on Netflix was everything. If y'all are into drug lord shows, i.e., Queen of the South or Narcos or Peaky Blinders, or if you liked American Gangster with Frank Lucas, y'all will love, love, love Griselda. I'm not going to say spoiler alert because Griselda is based on a true story. She was really a female drug lord in real life. She really did go to jail. She was really assassinated at 69 years old. On the Netflix depiction of it, I kept hearing about it. I kept hearing about it. And one day I decided to sit down and watch it. And I am so happy that I made the choice to do that. If y'all get a chance, y'all should definitely watch it. Now, let me warn you, there was quite a lot of reading on this Netflix show. We had to read the captions because she speaks in English, but when she's talking to other Spanish speaking people, they only speak in Spanish. And I was getting irritated. Yeah, that was the exact reason why I did not watch The Passion of the Christ, because I heard that it was just a lot of subtitles. And I did not show up to the movie theater to feel like I'm sitting in a library. I showed up to watch and listen to a movie. Now, the fact that I made it through all six, I believe it's 6 episodes of Griselda, or it might be 8. It's a limited short series. The fact that I made it through all those episodes and there was quite a lot of reading, that shows you it was a good storyline. It was a great plot. There was a lot of drama. There was a lot of wow moments. And it is definitely one of those shows that once you finish, it makes you want to go and watch other documentaries based off of Griselda or go and Google information about it. Something that really stood out to me is that during the series, Griselda had sons, and a lot of her sons watched her throughout the years build up her empire and become this very intimidating and dangerous female drug lord. A lot of them did not like the drug game. They tried to get their mother to stop. They really wanted her to be a normal, regular mother. She ended up going to jail because they finally caught her and she went to jail. But all of her sons, including her youngest son, followed in her footsteps. They joined the drug game as well too, and unfortunately, 3 of them lost their lives. But I thought that that was very interesting that for her kids to hate the drug game so much, they literally followed in her footsteps. And maybe that's because that's all they knew, because that's all that she exposed them to. Interesting. I've said this time and time again. Your actions as a parent, they directly affect your kids, whether you believe it or not. And that is a prime example. In some situations, kids will choose to go the exact opposite route of what their parents did because they have the mindset of, oh, I've learned from their mistakes. I don't want to go down that road. But then other kids are like, hey, that's my destiny. I guess it's in my DNA. That's all I know. So I'm going to do it. I watch them do it. I didn't like it, but maybe I'll understand why they did it. And so they choose to do it. Yeah, this parenting thing out here is hard. And I think my number one takeaway from it was to make sure that you parent responsibly. so many people are not thinking about the consequences of their actions and how it will affect the next generation and the generation after that and the generation after that, but it certainly does. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but y'all should definitely go check out Griselda. It might take you a couple of days to watch it, but it is so very good. And it is number one on my recommendation for Netflix picks. Moving on to some really quick wrap ups to wrap up today's show. Let's start off with Nelly and Ashanti. As y'all know, it's been rumored that she is pregnant out there. They haven't came out and fully admitted it and said, yes, we're pregnant, and had the celebrity pregnancy photo shoot. But Ashanti and Nelly are still out there performing. Ashanti normally wears these very form-fitting outfits, and she wears the belts around her waist, and she does a lot of drop it like it's hot to the floor and rolling her body. And I've been watching these performances, and the drop ain't dropping like it's hot. It's dropping like it's warm, slightly cold. Let me take my time. It's gonna take a little longer to get back up. Now, Ashanti has always had thick thighs, so nothing has changed in that area. But her clothing choices have changed. Ashanti recently performed on stage with Nelly, and she was wearing an extra large pink t-shirt. Now, the t-shirt said Balenciaga on it, but nevertheless, it was just a t-shirt. There were no pants, there was no bodysuit. She was obviously trying to cover up her figure, but the camera catches her at all angles, and when she turns to the side, you can definitely see that belly bump. That baby bump is bumping, and I am a little concerned. I know that she's out here trying to make her money, but as a woman that has 2 kids, I think that she's going to have to hang it up sometime soon. What do y'all think? I know that there's a lot of celebrity women that have been out there performing, pregnant. Cardi B did it, but I'm just a little concerned for her safety. Yeah, I know that she has shows booked up all the way through at least June. She's supposed to come to Kansas City and perform in June. I would love to see Ashanti perform live, but I also don't want to waste my money, because if she's already showing now and June is 5 months away, she's going to cancel. She's probably going to drop that baby at any point. Shout out to Ashanti, but girl, enjoy your pregnancy and motherhood. Moving right along into my most exciting quick wrap up. Love is Blind season 6 is back on Valentine's Day. I am here for it. You already know I'm going to be talking about it. I am going to be reviewing it on my YouTube channel, so make sure that you check that out as well too. I get excited every season as if it is season 1, and I am ready for all of the twists and turns and the love and the drama and the breakups and the triangles. It will be everything, okay? And I will be sharing it with the pod. So if y'all have not ever watched it, come on, jump on the bandwagon this season. It is starts on Valentine's Day, and it is going to be every bit of worth it, okay? I promise you. Now, for my quote of the day to wrap up today's podcast is by Mitch Holtis. The quote is, "You can doubt the Chiefs, you can dislike the Chiefs, you can disrespect the Chiefs, but you're going to have to deal with the Chiefs." Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in. This has been another great episode of Excuse Me, I'm Speaking. Please be sure to follow me on YouTube at SheIsTwinkle, and follow me on all podcast platforms, as well as on Instagram at SheIsTwinkle1. And until next time, love you all. Bye-bye.